Welcome to the Dad Code Podcast, where real dads come for real talk and no BS. We are your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and Matthew Parker. What's up, guys?
Talking NFL again.
Yep, here we go.
We love it.
Yes, we do.
We love it. Thank you guys for taking the time to hit play, download this episode of DDS. We're talking about NFC West predictions, and then later on the AFC West NFL predictions. We'll start with the Arizona Cardinals. Last year, they went 8-8. The one thing I like about them, the quarterback, Kyler Murray, 3,971 yards, 26 touchdowns, compared to 12 interceptions. Gentlemen, he also rushed for 819 yards and 11 touchdowns.
I like Kyler Murray, but who is the real Kyler Murray? Before hurting his shoulder last year, they had the second best offense through 7 games and went 5-2. He got hurt. They feel like a rock. They went 3-6. Love Kyler Murray, but the knock on him coming out of college was his size. Will he be able to stay healthy for now 17 games?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. You know, they added DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think it really turned out quite as well as they thought it would. Will that carry over this year and maybe yield some greater fruit there? But yeah, I like Kyler Murray well enough. I think he's a great athlete. I think he's a good guy, but I have concerns about him running around and getting knocked around at his size.
I thought Hopkins played really well last year. I don't know the stats off the top of my head. I didn't write them down, but I think they got their money's worth, per se, out of that investment last year. I'm not too keen on their running backs, but here's another thing I don't really like about this team. They were 2-4 against divisional play last year. In the last 3 years, they have a record of 5-13 in their own division, which is only good for 27%. You got to win the division if you want to get to the postseason.
I'm big on not liking the running backs either. The situation there isn't good. They brought in James Conner, who was good, like 17 years ago. He hasn't been healthy in years. Love the guy. Story is awesome. You got Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds, anytime he had the potential to be the main guy last year, he wasn't good. It just is the fact of the matter. He can't handle a full workload. So Kyler Murray is going to be running a ton. And speaking of DeAndre Hopkins, the one good thing about him is it's good for fantasy is they use him.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the plays that they run, do you know how many plays DeAndre Hopkins was out there for? 100%. He was the number one person in that category. But I really think they have a lot to do with this running back situation and their division.
It's tough.
The division is brutal.
Really good.
Yeah, tough division there. I mean, J.J. Watt joining the fold. I don't know what that does. A.J. Green.
Nothing. Sorry. A.J. Green.
I don't see it. Again, I kind of feel the way about running back as I do about quarterback. I mean, if you are trying to do running back by committee, which it seems like that's what they kind of tried to do with Chase Edmonds and James Conner. I mean, I don't think if you don't have one solid running back, you don't really have a good running game, in my opinion.
This is one of those teams that can beat or lose to anybody in the league. They can jump up and beat the teams that we have predicted to do the best, or they could lose to, I'm not going to say the Texans, but they could lose to just about anybody.
Yeah, we were talking before coming on here that put this team in the NFC East, for example. You might be looking at a 12-win team.
Yeah.
But here they find themselves in the NFC West, and the thing I hated about them is they can't win their division games. 2-4 last year, 5-13 in the last 3 years. I'm going 7-10.
Wow.
That's my prediction. 7-10.
Okay.
I'm 8-9, and I think this might be the best last place team in any division, just like you were saying.
I'm going with 8 wins as well. I have nothing else to say about it.
All right. Moving on to some would consider a disappointing team last year. The San Francisco 49ers. They finished at 6-10. I kind of like their offensive line. It's not something very popular to talk about, but the big boys. I like that they signed Trent Williams last year, 6-time Pro Bowler. Alex Mack comes into the fold at center. I think that building around these big dudes is going to allow for whatever they want to put back there at quarterback. The rook. Do they want to come back with a little bit of Jimmy G? I think it sets them up for success.
This team is so good foundationally at building a team. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing about this team is Trey Lance. This isn't hating on my boy Bradley here. Before we knew the Jets were going to jet last year and we thought they were getting Trevor Lawrence, I still thought Trey Lance was the best quarterback prospect. And not only is he the best quarterback, in my opinion, coming into the draft, he's in the best situation. I mean, how many times do you see Sam Darnold's of the world, these Bortles go into these teams where they don't have a chance? If they would go somewhere else, they could flourish. And I think that's where Trey Lance is. I'm not sure I would pick any other coach for him to be in under Shanahan. He's crazy fast. He has one of the strongest arms in the NFL already. Sitting here today, if we were doing 2023 predictions, this would be my Super Bowl pick.
I think that's fair enough. It's hard to argue, the highly touted quarterback coming in there. He is in a great system there, like you said, with Kyle Shanahan. He's gonna be in a situation where he's gonna be able to grow faster than some of these other young quarterbacks have in the league. I think that they have a lot of great pieces to work with. Like you said, the foundation is good. There's definitely there's a reason that this is, probably the best division in football because all these teams are really good, but this is just a really exceptional team in my mind.
Yeah, it's not all positives coming out of San Fran. Once injuries hit last year, some of the negatives showed up. One of the things that I'm going to call out is I don't like that they lost their defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, to the Jets. I really like that gentleman. I liked how he coaches. I like his presence. They're bringing in D'Amico Ryans, the former Alabama linebacker, 10-year veteran in the NFL with 970 tackles. He's going to try his hand at being the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. If anything, it's find themselves in a hard division, as we touched on, turnover at the defensive scheme. That's my question mark.
I did like Saleh as well, but as long as Shanahan's there, I trust him to bring in the right people. I really think he is that strong of a leader. He's one of the best coaches in football, and you touched on it. Something I didn't talk about on any other team yet, though, is injuries, because you can't control it. Who knows? But the 49ers have just gotten bitten hard last year. I mean, they could have been a Super Bowl team maybe. I mean, the question is, can they avoid that unluckiness again this year? Because it literally got almost their entire team at points last year. If they stay healthy, it would not shock me if they won this division.
I mean, you have to think it was a fluke, the amount of injuries that they had last year. There was a time I was like, good grief, they're going to be – the entire practice squad is going to be playing. It was kind of comical. Not laughing at anybody getting hurt, but it was kind of comical at one point looking at the injury reserve list, and you're just like, good grief, are you kidding me? It's like every single week we would have multiple people go down. So I would chalk that up as probably being a fluke. You would think that you would like to think anyway that a team is not that injury prone. So moving forward, I'm just hoping that they can stay healthy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to call this the ramp-up year for the San Francisco 49ers because, as he mentioned, if we're sitting here at 2022, 2023, you might be talking about title games, predictions for this team. I'm calling it the ramp-up year with the prediction of 9-8. They win 3 more games than last year.
Yeah, I think with teams like Arizona where you got Kyler Murray where it's they're wanting him to poop or get off the pot kind of situation. And now you've got a team here that, like you say, is kind of ramping up. They're kind of regrouping after last year. Weird stuff happened with injuries. They're on a little bit different timeline than some of these other teams in the division. And I think it's going to play to their advantage here in the future.
I believe in Trey Lance, and I believe in Shanahan. I'm going to go with 11 wins. 11-6.
Going 10 wins. 10 wins.
All right. 11, 10, 9. Pretty strong. We're going to stay out in the NFC West with the LA Rams. They finished last season 10-6. One thing that I like about, you know me, defense. Number 1 in points allowed in the NFL with only 18.5 points per game, led by Aaron Donald, 13.5 sacks. Jalen Ramsey. Both of these gentlemen were first team all pros.
This is last year's Tampa Bay.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
I love, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this because I know we've talked a little bit about it. One, I do love their defense, but I love Matthew Stafford in this offense. This division, y'all, is filled with some of the best coaches in football. Sean McVay was literally telling Jared Goff what to do before the headset cut out. It's not going to happen anymore. Stafford is going to be an extension of McVay. This is not going to be the highest scoring team in football, but it is going to be the best and the most efficient. Stafford might be the toughest quarterback in all football. He tries to come back from every single injury. Think about this too. Stafford has thrown for 5,000 yards in a season for the Detroit Lions.
He had to, though.
Yeah, well,
They were behind in every damn game.
Doesn't mean he had to complete them.
It doesn't mean he's good.
He's good. No, he's good. I actually have some other offensive stats I would love to share that prove this, but it would really leak into my fantasy world, and I don't want to give that up.
wow.
But I have very high hopes for this team this year. There is a lot to love about them.
Oh, I like Matthew. I am very high on Matthew Stafford. I think that he is going to be a difference maker for them in a very real way. I think he's also got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to get the kind of the Detroitness off of him. To show that it wasn't him, that it was the Detroitness, if you will. So I look forward to seeing real big things out of him this year.
What is it? Why am I the only one that's poo-pooing on this? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't. Jared Goff versus...
You're also the person who chooses to support the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, I mean, your judgment might be a little tainted from the beginning.
I'm just saying, man, if Stafford looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, I think he's a duck. But let me tell you what might make it worse. I'm going to go to my dislike here. I do not like their running back situation. I hate it even worse that Cam Akers is hurt. What does that leave them with, gentlemen? Let me throw you some names here. Darrell Henderson, Xavier Jones, Jake Funk. That's garbage. And guess what? That's going to expose you, Matthew Stafford. The good thing is, Parker mentioned it, you don't have to score 28 points a game. You've got a great defense. If you can just keep it around that 20, you're going to win 20-13 every week. What do you not like about this team?
I love their defense, but there's part of the defense that I don't like. They have two of the best players in football on the defensive side. However, the fact remains they lost their defensive coordinator and 4 defensive starters last year. Can Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey step it up to make this defense elite again? I think the answer is probably yes, but it's worth questioning.
Yep, I totally agree. You know, the uncertainty on the defense, losing the defensive coordinator, that's kind of the biggest question mark for me. They got great talent on the defensive side. Can that talent overcome not having a stable situation with a defensive coordinator?
I mean, all this talk about how I hate their running back situation, and I'm not about Stafford. I'm going 11-6.
Because of their division, I'm going to knock them down. They're only going to win 12 games this year because of their division.
Only 12.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, you were
12 and
they were
12-5.
the first 17-0 team ever.
Hey, 12-5.
I'm going 11 wins. 11 wins.
All right.
By the way, actually, on the side note, do kind of like Darrell Henderson. He averaged more yards per carry last year than Cam Akers.
Yeah, Bradley, so suck it.
No, I don't like it. I think Henderson, riding coattails, Xavier Jones, and Jake Funk.
Jake Funk. Best name in football.
But it doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They only have to score 20 points.
Well, probably so.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the Seattle Seahawks. They finished last year at 12-4. I mean, the easy like right here is their quarterback, Russell Wilson. He started all 144 career games. Cal Ripken-esque. He doesn't miss anything. He's got 65% completion percentage in his career, over 34,000 yards, 267 touchdowns to only 81 interceptions, a career rating of 101.7. I like you, Russell.
So you're saying Russ is good, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the best ability is availability. And Russ is that. And Russ this year is finally happy instead of these fake trade requests he's been doing. They've got a new offense, a new offensive coordinator that Russell Wilson endorsed and wanted in there. Higher tempo. This offense is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. You know, after scoring a franchise record of 459 points last year, to think that this could be a year where maybe they score more. I don't know. We'll have to see. What do they average? 28.7 points per game. That's not too bad. And to think that they may push that 30 mark this year, I'm looking forward to watching their offense.
Do you know what I like about those stats?
What's that?
Their offensive coaching staff is now in Jacksonville.
But Russell Wilson isn't.
But Russell Wilson is.
Yeah, really.
Some of the things I don't like, I'm going to go back to divisional play. I kind of touched on this with Arizona. Seattle is 0-2 last year against the Rams. In the past 3 years, they own a record of 1-5 against the Rams. So if you want to be at the top of this NFC West, you have to beat the Rams.
Agreed. McVay's a better coach. They own them. It's one of those games, you know, every single year. My other thing about Seattle is, can they stop anybody?
Mm-hmm.
The first half of last year, they were having to let Russ cook, for instance, say, if I have to hear that again. But yeah, because they couldn't stop. I mean, it was the worst defense in the league there for a bit, worse than the Cowboys. I know they ended up better. They got it back there towards the end of the year. They supposedly addressed the defensive line because they couldn't get to anybody in the backfield, and they seem confident in that, at least out of the training reports. I'll believe it when I see it. So that still would be my biggest concern is the defensive line.
Yeah, the defense allowing 23.2 points per game. Obviously, like you said, they were pretty bad most of the year. It also kind of sucks that this team plays in that division. So I mean, it's kind of an SEC situation where everybody's beating up on each other.
Isn't that funny? Like, we agree that you move any of the four of these teams to another division and they may just run away with it.
Yeah, they really
or
might.
Be right there at 1-2.
They're competing
1 versus
to
2.
win every year for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to predict 11-6 as well for the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm going to go with third, 10-7.
I'm going 10 wins.
So I'm stuck. I've got an 11-6 with the Rams and 11-6 with Seattle. I got to go with stats since I like them. I think Seattle being only 1-5 against the Rams in the last 3 years, that means the tiebreaker goes to the Rams.
I would agree.
All right, that was our NFC West predictions. We're going to move on to the AFC West. We'll start in Mile High City. Denver Broncos went 5-11 last year. I like that they've improved their secondary. I like their secondary. We were talking about Kyle Fuller, Pat Surtain II, Ronald Darby, Bryce Callahan, Justin Simmons, and Jackson, both playing safeties there. I like the makeup of their secondary. They're really going to need them to take a next step because guess who is lurking? The Kansas City Chiefs. But I like their secondary.
I like their secondary too. Their defense is usually, with Vic Fangio there, it's usually one of their staples, right? But something I love on the other side of the ball is Jerry Jeudy. He is an elite route runner. For some reason, was drafted after Ruggs by the Raiders. We'll get into that in a minute. I know he had some drops last year, but I think that's an outlier. That's really never been an issue for him. In college, he didn't have that. That's one of those things that usually translates. My main concern with him, can they get him the ball? Listen, while Jeudy didn't have a great year last year outside of the drops, of the passes thrown to Jerry Jeudy, do you know how many of them were catchable? 62%. That puts him outside the top 100.
Don't give away my dislikes. So, I love Jerry Jeudy. Good. Do you have anything that stands out for you?
No, not really.
Denver?
I mean, they have the odd skill player that's good there, but I've got. I guess I'll segue into the stuff I don't like. And their quarterback situation is, again, it's another shitty situation. Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I can't use the analogy that I want to use right here that Bradley's heard me use several times about pool noodles and certain people, but I don't think that it's an idea. It's not really what I think Broncos fans were looking for a quarterback competition.
I'll let you go.
Man, I wrote down, I don't like their offense. I don't really have anything negative to say about Jerry Jeudy, but maybe I just don't like their offense because I wrote down the quarterbacks' names, man. I wrote down Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. Drew Lock, 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Bridgewater, not much better. 15 touchdowns, 11 picks. I mean, come on. This person who's going to have their ball in the hands all the time. I don't trust
Could
it.
they not come up with a better solution there?
I don't like it, man.
They are the Tennessee Titans of 12 years ago.
Yeah.
We're sitting here licking our chops that we've got Peyton Manning. They were doing the same thing with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
Their hope was in Aaron Rodgers.
it was. They thought that
They
were
sold
gonna
out.
The best quarterback they've got on that is Bridgewater, and that's not saying a lot.
No, it's not.
I don't understand where the love is coming from because it's one of like the sneaky teams I hear people talk about being a playoff team. Where?
Yeah,
in
where?
what world
Yeah.
does this happen?
Yeah, really.
Not in my world.
Nope. Not at all.
The quarterback situation is it stinks too. The rest team is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, got to be able to get it to him.
I don't like it so much. I'm going 4-13.
Wow.
I think that they're one of the worst.
That is strong.
That is very strong.
That had some stank on it. I'm not going to lie.
It's true. I don't like the quarterback situation. I think their defense towards the end of the year when it seems like things are getting long, a 17-game season, they're going to get frustrated. And then, right when it's getting bad, they're going to have to play the Chiefs twice. They're going to have to face Justin Herbert twice. And I'm not even talking about the Raiders. Not yet. But I think Denver finds themselves in a bad spot here, but for the good in the NFL draft next year.
I got to be on 7-10. I think the defense saves them. I think the coach is going to pull out all the stops to anything he can do because if he doesn't do something, he's going to be fired.
Yeah, well, I think he will be fired because I think he's going to only win 6 games.
I think if
So I don't feel as bad about my 4. I mean,
I think if they win 7-6 or 4, he's probably fired.
Anything less than a 500 season, he's gone.
but then they could do the rebuild thing. Because if they're only going to win 4, 5, or 6, they're going to be in the top 5, right? It puts them in that range for a quarterback.
It's just weird because I mean, maybe I'm just not seeing the big picture. I just don't see where they're trying to go.
Didn't they pass on a quarterback this year? I'm 99% sure that I can look it up real quick, but I believe.
Well, when you go 5-11 last year, I'm sure they had a chance. That maybe even multiple.
I'd have to look that up before I make something up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, here, I'll start talking about the Chargers next while you're looking it up. The LA Chargers is who we're going to next. This team finished a cool 7-9. The easy like for me is I believe they have finally found their franchise quarterback, Justin Herbert. Listen to this. He had 4,336 yards, but even more impressive, 31 touchdown passes completed compared to 10 interceptions. I love the ratio. I mean, that's it. It starts and ends with their quarterback. They finally found one.
Yep, and so he set rookie records for touchdown passes, like you said, 31 touchdown passes, and the most completions amongst rookies, and 396. It's hard not to like the trajectory that he's on.
I love the new offensive line. I know last year they were.
Well, that sure does take a lot of pressure off of a young quarterback.
It does. I mean, because last year he was under pressure all the time. He was under pressure 217 times, which is the most since 2009 when they started keeping up with that stat as a rookie. So they really addressed that this year. They signed 2 guys, drafted another in the first round. It's going to be a major jump for the O-line. Herbert looks like the real deal. And we're going to see this year that he has an offensive line.
Yep. So dislike. I don't like your owner. I don't like Dean Spanos. I don't like that he moved the team from San Diego. Something about this Chargers team and that big ass stadium in LA, it doesn't feel right.
Doesn't feel like the Chargers, right?
No.
I
What
mean,
is this?
the San Diego fans are livid I mean, because that's regardless of what the attendance said and everything, but San Diego, what are they called? San Diegoans? I don't know. Whatever. San Diego. What is it? Means a whale's vagina.
Whoa.
They say the meaning was lost in translation. Sorry. But anyways, it really doesn't seem, it kind of, something almost smells a foul here. Moving the team around. I just, Los Angeles doesn't even want them in Los Angeles. So why in the world would you move them to Los Angeles?
That's a great take. I completely agree with that. By the way, y'all, last year, Denver Broncos, they passed up on Justin Fields and on Mac Jones draft.
Yeah, great job there.
But Chargers, kicking game.
All right.
It's terrible. It's awful. Last year, Michael Badgley missed 9 field goals. That's more than the Titans kicker. It's the most in the NFL. Fans were so upset about this guy. The other day in training camp, they showed up to boo him.
Wow, that's fun.
It's kind of fun. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome, actually.
Give him some heat.
They have another kicker on the roster, Tristan Vizcano. I don't know who this guy is, but he's getting a lot of love. The other day, he went 5 for 5 in practice, and our boy from last year went 3 for 5. So maybe they'll get it worked out.
A little bit of heat.
I'll tell you what, they haven't found a steady kicker since they let Josh Lambo go and become one of the most consistent kickers in the league, leading the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It seems like that is the recipe for success for kickers. You let them go from one team, and then they go and shove on another team.
Titans have done it numerous times.
Yep.
Jeez.
That's how it happens.
I don't know why, but for some reason, a good kicking battle in training camp excites me.
I mean, it's interesting to me, right?
I love the fact that they were out there trolling him.
Yeah.
Or booing him.
Hey,
Wow.
those are fans. Those people know what's important. They really do.
Well, I don't like their owner. He doesn't like the kicking game. I don't know.
And I don't like the
I
city.
don't like the whole.
You don't
I
like
don't
the
like
scenario.
I don't like the fact that they're in Los Angeles at all.
Yeah. I think I'm predicting they're going second in this division. I'm giving them 10-7 as my prediction.
I'm right there with you.
I'm going 11 wins. Going big. I'm sold out.
Go big or go home.
Justin Herbert.
Wow. Talking about going big. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs next. They were 14-2 last year. I jump right to the quarterback again. Mr. Mahomes, 66% passing, 4,740 yards, 38 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. I mean, for his career, he's 66% completion, 114 touchdowns to only 24 picks. My goodness. I mean, what's not to like about this young man?
I feel sorry for every other team in this division because he is going to win the division. He's Peyton Manning. He's going to win it for the next 15 years. And the GM knows it. He knows what's up in Kansas City. He watched last year's Super Bowl, and he watched Mahomes, the star of the league, run for 498 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running for his life because the offensive line is absolutely terrible. And what I love about it is he addressed it. They are going to have 5 new offensive line. The whole line's going to be new. They signed 8 guys, so they even upgraded the backups.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce? I mean, it's just a dominant offense, quite frankly. It makes you think, though, how long can that keep up? But that kind of remains to be seen. I don't think it's necessarily a point of concern. It's just something that, inevitably, at some point, somebody's going to figure out how to stop them.
I mean, dislike. Yeah. So here's what I dislike. The Super Bowl. I don't like what I saw. I don't like what I saw with the offensive line. I don't like that the lasting taste that the Kansas City Chiefs have was a 31-9 loss. Will this carry over into this football season? Maybe. Probably not. But I don't like what I saw in the Super Bowl.
I tell you what I'm worried about the most is their defense. I feel like it's shaky. I don't feel like it's consistent necessarily year in, year out. We saw what happened when they ran against up against an offense that could actually put some points on the board. They were able to kind of break everything down on them. So that is the biggest thing for me is they have a quarterback that can get into shootouts, but if you're going to play the shootout game occasionally, you're going to get bucked.
Speaking of the nice bug, like it. Speaking of Super Bowl, man, Patrick Mahomes threw the 2 prettiest complete passes in the history of the NFL in that game, if y'all remember. He was like laying sideways, hit Tyreek Hill like 40 yards down. It was unbelievable. And that's kind of my question. Is who's the number 2 receiver now that Sammy Watkins is gone? Obviously, they've got Tyreek Hill.
I know who it is.
Kelsey.
The tight end.
That's my question, though. But they got to have somebody step up. Is Mecole Hardman step up? I think he's more of a Tyreek Hill replacement, not they're the same guy, basically. I think it's going to be Byron Pringle. But kind of like you said, does it matter?
No.
Do they need a second guy? They've got Kelsey and they've got Tyreek Hill and they've got Edwards-Helaire catching passes out of the backfield. So maybe they don't need one, but it feels like if somebody goes down, they're going to have somebody step up.
Yeah.
Nitpicking on this team, guys.
Yeah. I mean, we're reaching for sure.
No. I hate them so much that I think they're winning the division and going 13-4. So I don't really hate them that much. What do you think?
I've got them at 13-4. I struggled at 14-3. I will say, for some odd reason, every year they randomly lose a game to the Raiders. Mm-hmm. They maybe should have lost both games last year. 13-4, winning the division.
Yeah, I'm going 13 wins. Winning the division.
We'll jump to the Raiders then.
The Raiders.
It's hard for me to even say this with both of my brothers. Las Vegas Raiders? What? LV Raiders. My gosh. Even this one. Oakland Raiders on the screen. Las Vegas Raiders. What in the world? They were 8-8 last year. I got a like. I'm going to go tight end. I like Darren Waller. 107 receptions, 1,196 yards, 9 touchdowns, and a Pro Bowl. I wish the Jags had a tight end. Parker?
You just set me up beautifully for this. Darren Waller is a man.
Okay.
He is the tight end, but he's not the tight end. He is their number 1 receiver. He is a top 10 receiver in the league. If it wasn't for Travis Kelce, everybody would be talking about Darren Waller. Guys, I've got a couple of numbers I want you to hear. All right. So 28% of his team's targets. That's first in any tight end. 146 targets. First. Played 93% of the snaps. Second. 24 red zone targets. First. 17 deep targets. First. 562 yards after the catch. First. Receiving yards. Second. Catches. First. And a really weird efficiency rating that I found, which is a combination of the team's receiving yards and touchdown. Basically saying Waller caught 30% of all the Raiders' yards and touchdowns. And by the way, that's first.
Oh my God.
Yeah, even with that though, their offense finished 10th overall. So I mean, they have a decent offense. Score 21 or 27.1 points per game. It's hard not to like Darren Waller for sure. I mean, if you're going to find a positive, that's one hell of a positive.
So why don't the majority, and dare I say even their coach, like the quarterback? I don't think the coach even likes the quarterback.
Man, I'm trying to be nice here when you ask me that question.
He doesn't like the quarterback because he's one of the worst head coaches in the NFL. He makes terrible decisions.
All right.
They can't fire him. He's worth almost as much as the owner at this point. He's predictable. They make dumb decisions. Kind of like, Derek Carr's good. Like he's a terrible fantasy quarterback, but he's a great real life quarterback. Some of the decisions they made, and I know they have a GM, but John Gruden's the GM. Why do they sign Kenyon Drake when they have a great running back? Why do they draft Ruggs over CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy? Then after making the pick, they don't even use Ruggs properly. They bomb it to him, and he's a slot guy. Why do they basically get rid of their entire good offensive line during the offseason for no apparent reason? Why do they draft a guy in the first round this year that they could have drafted in the second round? It's frustrating, and this team will never get over the hump with Gruden as coach.
Couldn't agree more. I think that Gruden is toxic to this organization, and it's an organization that doesn't need any more reasons to be bad. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback, but under John Gruden, he will suffer.
I'm going to give you another reason why they're going to suffer this year. I don't like their defense. Their defense was 30th in scoring defense at 29.9 points per game. Who are they on defense? Who are their leaders? Because it's not Mac. Not anymore. They didn't think he was good enough. It's not Charles Woodson. It's It's not Josh Allen because you let the Jags draft him after you took the other punk from Clemson. So, I mean, like, I don't know what this defense is, but that spells bad news when you're in the division with the Chiefs twice a year.
Yep.
The Chargers twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky. You got the suck-ass Broncos. But I don't like it, man. I'm going 6-11.
Totally agree. Only Detroit and Jacksonville allowed more total points than the Raiders. So defense is abysmal. I'm going to go, let's see, what am I going to say? I'm going to say 6 wins.
I'm going to go 7-10, but they will be 4th in the division.
Oof. I got them 3rd. 6-11. I think the Broncos are the worst.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad situation.
In a long season, I think maybe if it is as bad as I'm predicting for Denver, I think they tank it. I think a lame duck coach,
they could.
They'll realize that they don't need to win anymore.
Clean
they need
slate.
to go ahead and get their quarterback.
Yep. Clean slate after this year.
So boldly predicting Denver for only 4 wins, I guess. I mean, that's what it sounds like after hearing you guys.
That's what they need to do, right?
I mean, we're at 6-7. It's not like we're going to. If they win 3 games, I would be absolutely just like, yeah, that sounds about right.
If they don't win at least 12 games, the coach is fired and they're cleaning house. Okay, so they got to win at least 12.
Yep. So in a recap, we really like the NFC West. We think that if you put any of those teams in a different division, they could be right there, either at 1 or the 2 spot. As most people in the world will be very bullish on the Chiefs. We have high hopes for Justin Herbert.
Yep.
I hope that my own rookie quarterback this year has something similar. This gives him a goal here.
Who is that? Who is that?
We'll save that for another podcast
when
we break down the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence. But anyway,
he better score a lot of points.
Any final thoughts on NFC West or AFC West as we depart?
I'm sitting here looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I know I've got them 13-4, but it easily could be 15-2. I mean, they are a strong team, and I don't see any way they don't win this division. While the other division, I could see 49ers sneaking up and getting it, but Kansas City's not a business.
Totally agree. It's kind of Kansas City and everybody else, and then kind of whoever comes out of the West there is maybe could sneak up on them.
So with the expanded playoffs this year, I'm predicting 3 NFC West teams make the playoffs.
Ooh, okay.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Any questions, concerns, comments you got, you can check us out on Twitter, _dad_code, as well as on Instagram at the Dad Code Podcast, and on Facebook, the Dad Code. Questions, concerns, comments, like I said, email us at thedadcodepodcast@gmail.com. That's all I got.
Yeah, man. Stay tuned. We'll be heading into the North, the NFC North, AFC North, coming soon to DDS.
Y'all be well.